U.S. right now is booming from coast to coast.
Yeah, our Lauren Edwards joining us live after speaking with the broker in Grand Rapids about what the housing scene looks like here. Lauren?
You know, Derek and Doug, I honestly thought there was a boom going on, especially here in Grand Rapids, but he says that's not the case. But when people see these sale pending signs like the one behind me or even for sale signs, people, he says, have been more inquisitive and curious than in years past.
This was definitely one of our hottest properties of the year, but you do see lines up at open houses.
These are the lines Pete Brynsma saw on Saturday for a showing in Grand Rapids, lines out the door.
It had a lot of extras. It had like $100,000 kitchen in there, a couple other things like a view of the park. And so we listed it on Wednesday, and by Thursday afternoon, we had about 75 showings scheduled on it.
Brynsma says they were booked for a few days. Even though the lines may seem like it's a sign of a housing boom, like in other parts of the country, he says in Grand Rapids, it's not.
I feel like overall it's good. I mean, a 12.5% increase in real estate is not insane, as a lot of people think it is. I think it's healthy and it's also explainable.
He says what's high is demand, driven by an increase in prices.
Median home price right now is $212,000. A year ago, it was like $189, and the year before that, it was like $176.
Even though demand is high, he says, it's tough being a realtor. 2020 hit the real estate market hard.
People are reluctant to move right now because of just, everything that happened the last year. People aren't quite comfortable yet. Builders aren't building anything. Materials are sky high. Labor is impossible.
But people are buying. It's just taking longer than usual, especially among new homeowners.
The biggest generation, which is millennials, are getting to be the age where they're having kids. They're comfortable in their jobs and they're ready to move from renters to buyers.
And when I asked him, what is a positive note in all of this, and he says that people aren't relying on video anymore. Typically during the pandemic, you had to look at video to figure out what the house looked like, its dimensions, what it looked like on the inside. But he says that's not the case anymore. People are making appointments. They want to come inside. They want to see it, touch it, and smell it. So that is a lot of what's happening here in Grand Rapids. Not a boom, but demand is high. Reporting live here in Grand Rapids, Lauren Edwards, Fox 17 News.
Yeah, thank you for that, Lauren. And we'll take a look at housing today by the numbers going in depth. So our first number is a small one. It's 2. That's the number of reduction in the number of listings last year that Green Ridge Realty has seen. It's a little bit less than you might have thought. We're going to hear from their VP in just a moment. The next number, or numbers, I guess, are 10 to 12. And Lauren just touched on it a bit. That's the percent that the average sale price for a home has increased in the last year. So, yeah, people are paying more right now, no doubt about it. 10 is the next number. That's the number of weeks in a row that the number of homeowners in forbearance has dropped. Forbearance meaning homeowners hitting pause on their payments for financial reasons. So that's a good statistic, even though over 2 million people are still in forbearance. So the thing is, it's not really an issue of supply, as Lauren said. It's more an issue of demand outpacing supply. Green Ridge VP Walter Perschbacher says that listings are here and gone for the most part. But if you're waiting for a bubble pop or something similar to 2008, Walter says don't count on it.
That recession was caused by real estate. It was caused by bad lending practices. The lending practices have been tightened up. The equity position of homeowners is significantly stronger now than it was back then. They're not using their homes as ATMs the way they were because they can't. Prices are going to continue to grow. West Michigan's hot. It's a place that people are going to want to be.
And so the last number that we're going to leave you with that Green Ridge gave to us is in 2 weeks, and that's their absorption rate, so how fast they're turning properties around. In a balanced market, Walter says their absorption rate should be around 4 to 6 months. They haven't seen that in years, though, Derek.